Hello, welcome everybody. I'm going to call our meeting to order at 4:30 on Tuesday, April 14th. Wonderful. I want to have a welcome to her worship, Heidi Lorenz. She's stepping in for Randy for us this meeting, so welcome and thank you. All right. Absolutely. We're having a little tech issues. Sorry, I'm just going to keep going. All right. There is a recommendation that the agenda for the Municipal Heritage Committee dated April 14th, 2026 be approved as circulated. Can I have, oh, wonderful. I'm going to have Judy as our mover and Paul as our seconder, and all in favor. Beautiful. Motion carried. Thank you. Is there any disclosures of interest? No. Great. Thank you. There is a recommendation that the minutes of the Municipal Heritage Committee meeting dated March 10th, 2026 be approved as circulated. Can I have a mover? Paul. Seconder Glenn. All in favor. Beautiful. Motion carried. Thank you so much. There are no deputations tonight. We're going to roll right into those working group reports. We're going to start with Glenn Silver. He's going to talk about the Heritage Recognition Working Group. Thank you, Glenn.
We are working on things. For instance, we're getting in touch with building owners. In my case, particularly at Orange Lodge and Brown's Beverage, and I've got calls into them, but they haven't returned my calls yet. But we'll continue with that. Just to give them an idea that we're coming with a kind of a menu for them. I don't think the menu is quite ready yet, but as soon as it is, we'll try to make plans to meet with them and see if there's something that we can do for them when it comes to honoring their properties. I did look into the costs of those signs that we were talking about going on the side of the building, the oval-shaped aluminum, and they're about $350 to $400. And then he showed me this new material that they're using for signs similar to that, and they can be made in any shape, any size, and they really look pretty nice. I'm going to have him, I think, make up a mock-up of one so that we can at least bring it with us to the meetings. And really, that's about it for us. We're still working at it. I mean, it takes a little bit more time, and the time flies by. My goodness, it's unbelievable. Anyways, that's where we're at.
Thank you, Glenn. I'll just add to that, the brochure, the menu that you're talking about was sent to Leanne, and I know that Angela has some updates about that in a little bit. Judy Humphreys, can you talk about the interpretive signs and plaques working group? Thank you.
Yes, we've got two plaques that have just been, I think, completed, and I'm hoping everybody has seen them. If not, I can forward them on to you. One is the James McCabe plaque on one side, and then on the other side is the original First Church in Gravenhurst, which is the original Anglican church located, well, there we go.
Yes, I was
right
going to say, we have them here
there.
for
Look
you
at that.
tonight, for your
There
viewing
they
pleasure.
are. And I think Leanne did a spectacular job. Once again, she's very creative. So all I have to do is feed her the info and the photographs and so on, and then she puts it all together as you can see right there. So that's the one for McCabe's Landing, which is the original name for Gravenhurst before 1862. 1862 is the year it was named Gravenhurst itself. Excuse me. And you can see there an ad for McCabe's Freemasons Arms. The building that's shown there is not exactly, I doubt, what the Freemasons Arms was, because it began as a bit of a log cabin in actual fact. But that's sort of what it became, and it became the Queen's Hotel when it was actually looking like that. So it's quite interesting to imagine the transition from log cabin to hotel. such as it was. And all of that is in the neighborhood of the Anglican Cemetery, as you know, on Muskoka Road. And the other side is that one, which is the first church in Gravenhurst, which was the Anglican church. You can see it was built in a somewhat less than auspicious setting. We've got a lot of stumps. There are pictures actually of Gravenhurst when it was nothing but stumps. And everything was cut off at sort of knee level. But there's the church built with the wood that was cut, no doubt, in that spot, and the rail fence that was built near it. That church was then followed by the one down in the left-hand lower corner. All you can see of it is actually the turret of the Anglican church above the little house there. So that house is actually on Hotchkiss, and behind it then is the Anglican church turret, and then the Catholic church is across the street, across John Street, sort of more complete picture of it. The Anglican church that is pictured there burned to the ground again. So the Anglican church was rebuilt and then rebuilt and then rebuilt and finally got to the version that we have today. So gives you a bit of an idea then of where the Freemasons' Arms was, where St. James originally was, where it moved to with that map. I think that, again, Leanne has done a great job with those plaques. Any questions about the history that's captured there or about anything else?
Paul?
Do you know why they had a fence sort of beside the church, like were the animals?
Keep the animals out.
Oh, keep them out.
Keep
Okay.
them out. In actual fact, bylaws were passed a number of times to prevent cattle from roaming the streets and horses and such. And I suspect, given the number of times they repeated that bylaw, it wasn't always successful, and that you could, in fact, be looking at some critter wandering in for services just when you least wanted them there. So, yeah, I think that's the case.
Are there any other questions for Judy? Heidi, go ahead.
I have a question. How many of the signs are there going to be around town?
That's a good question.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I don't think that we have finalized a list by any means.
okay.
We're
evolving.
working, well, we've got the one for Swedetown, the sort of interpretive panel at Swedetown. We've got now this double-sided interpretive panel. We have the ones that we did at Severn Bridge. Where I'm working on putting together a number of panels for the wharf area. And we've met with Amy and talked about how many we could do and so on. I've just been experimenting. We've got so much material to work with. When you look in the archives and you think to yourself, well, what pictures do we have of the wharf? And then you find there are like 675 that might be usable. You kind of think to yourself, wow, gluttony of riches. But we've got all kinds of really good pictures that we're putting together for that wharf. Almost like, it will be a walking trail really along the wharf. And
previously, we had added those on our website, so you can go in and there's a map, and it shows you all of the sites, and we're working on getting the information, so when you're there, you can use the QR code. It will take you to the town website, the Heritage, and it will give you videos, information about those, and our dream is it will be all the way down the main street.
yeah, well, just to go on with the wharf, one of the things that a QR code can bring up is my talk about the lumber mills. Because there were 14 lumber mills on Muskoka Bay, just in that little tiny bay, and then there were 3 others at the very same time over on Gull Lake. So we had a town that was just bustling with lumber, and in fact, we were the lumber center for all of Ontario north of Aurelia for a long time. So, yeah, I mean, we've got wonderful pictures to work with, and I'm looking forward to showing you all what the plans might be, and having you kind of look over the pictures and say, oh, no, I don't like that one, but I prefer that one, and we'll get some feedback from people maybe at the next meeting. So if that's,
Yes, we had met with Amy Taylor and we looked at some sites for along the wharf and some interesting information. And they're going to be sort of the shorter ones that we used for Camp Calidor. So as you walk along the wharf, you'll see pictures and information about what was there.
and they won't obstruct the view.
No, and they won't obstruct the view. They won't be big and tall.
No, they're not going to be up in front of your face like
No,
that.
they're
They're going to
nice
be
and low.
down where you can read while you look up and,
In keeping with the landscape.
yeah, exactly.
Paul, you had a question?
Just a question sort of for Judy and then something. When I was at the Opera House for the celebration there, Doug and Maureen Chamberlain said that they were talking about a mill on Bryden's Bay that Doug says you can still see bits and pieces. It's on Chamberlain's property.
Yeah, when people were quoting numbers of mills and so on in the 1880s, they were quoting about the 14 on Muskoka Bay, and then I think 2 on Bryden's Bay, one of which, as you say, has sort of remainders, and then 3 on Gull Lake. So if you could imagine coming into Gravenhurst and and getting off the train, say, for example, and the sound, because they started at 7 in the morning and started at 7 and stopped at 7 at night. The saws were apparently very high wind, sounding saws. So you've got 14 mills down on the bay, and you could get off the train down there, and it was just this cacophony of sound down there. And then again another one in the center of the town with all the ones on Gull Lake right at the bottom of Brock Street, and then all you had to do is just go out towards Bryden's Bay. You had more. So we were the lumbering capital of Muskoka and indeed of Ontario for quite a long while. Yeah, I'd love to go and take a look at those. I'll have to do that with Maureen and take a look and see what's left there.
Thank you, Judy. Are there,
Smoke and exhaust.
did you want to press your,
Yeah.
just want to press them? That's okay. Go ahead, Glenn.
The smoke and exhaust must have been unbelievable. Coming in on the train, if it came in the same spot where the train station is, would have been unbelievable to see that.
Well, it didn't come in there until 1919, where the train station is today. But the original train station was not very far from where the plaques that we've just been looking at, where they're going to be embedded. So the original train station was up there, kind of back in, the Anglican cemetery is here, there's that little parkette here, and over here, the railroad tracks, and right in there is where the original train station that burned down in 1913, that's where it was.
That's neat.
So, yeah. So I think that people, when they came to Gravenhurst and got off a train or off a steamship, would know right away that they were in the center, the very heart of the lumbering industry. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Judy. Are there any other questions for Judy? Angela?
Thank you. Just as was noted, the panels, you may have noticed there was a couple of questions from Leanne about photographs and that type of thing. So perhaps we could talk about that afterwards, Judy, or just in terms of timing, I'll maybe back up a little bit. I did have a meeting with the town's communications and marketing division to develop a strategy for all of the things that are trying to be accomplished this term. And as has already been mentioned, it's going by fast. And so I've got some very specific timelines that Leanne needs to meet as well.
Okay.
So just on the note of, I'll mention 2 more panels that have been done as well. Sloan, which is at the
Yes.
fire station,
Yes.
and AP Coburn, the 2 down at the
Down at the
wharf.
wharf.
So so I would ask if for feedback on the McCabe and those two panels that were shown today, the church, by next Monday, April 20th at the latest. Just, we want to keep that on track to have that printed and installed possibly before the next meeting. And again, just a lot of projects, so a lot of moving parts to keep moving forward. And then maybe just while I'm talking and while we're on the interpretive panels, I think that Judy's talked a lot about the wharf panels. The plan would be to see up to 8 panels installed along the boardwalk, potentially this summer. The panels will be topical in nature, so a few of the themes discussed, and you can jump in. Steamships, lumber mills, boat builders, industry, future of the wharf, and as mentioned, lectern-style panels that complementary to the view of the lake, not compromising it, as Judy pointed out. And as well, just in speaking with communications and marketing, we envision this as having, once these panels are installed, hopefully again this summer, some type of ribbon cutting and a brief ceremony at the appropriate time. And of course, that will be promoted, but Leanne's really looking for content by May 1st for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've been working up panels already, and I've got all but one, I think, sort of for people's viewing. And I've basically themed them around steamships, lumber mills, the railroad, which arrived in 1875, both in the town and down at the wharf. The wharf itself, the boat builders, the steamships at the end, coming back to the sequin. Yeah. Good question. I've got, I've drafted up 17 possible.
Yes.
And then I thought I would let Leanne, once we'd looked at them, let Leanne play with some of them and see what things she's so creative that, which is the other reason why I had my light on, because I wanted you, if you would please, to pass on to her how impressed I am with what she does, with what I give her, because I give her fodder and she comes back with
Beautiful.
panels. So, yeah. But there are, you know, a lot of really good pictures to choose from.
Are there any more questions for Judy? Wonderful. Thank you, Judy. All right, I'm going to speak for the Doors Open Working Group. So we've been discussing doing a media campaign to see if we can get some more people from the public interested in having their homes and their properties open. So if you are interested, you can contact the town and ask for Angela Jaquetas, and she will help you and get you signed up there. We already have a tentative list, and we're just checking that, and we're just kind of trudging along and getting ready for 2027. So if you are interested, reach out to the town. We'd love to hear from you. Is there anything you want to add to that, Angela? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, in line with the other items that are being marketed, or that will be marketed, the Doors Open is a great idea. Again, on pause for this year, but 2027, and trying to get some new properties, and there will be a media campaign. I wouldn't envision that happening before June because some of the other dates that need to be met, but that's okay. And the other thing that I'll maybe just mention along, I'll segue into another topic that came up after the agenda was published. It's the farmers market. So similar to other years, the town will have a booth that will be staffed by a minimum of 2 town staff members each week starting June the 3rd. in addition to the opportunity for committee members to join the town staff to talk to people about heritage. I would love to be able to provide more heritage information for that table. So I'm thinking things like the brochure that I'll come back to, doors open information, and just really planting that seed right now and can be discussed in more detail at the May meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you, Angela. I think Judy, you have a question?
Angela, would it be appropriate for Municipal Heritage to have a table beside your municipal table at which we sold off some of the extra copies of books and things that we have about Gravenhurst heritage?
Is it appropriate for the Heritage Committee to have a table beside the farmers? Beside the staff table and can sell books?
Sure.
Angela will look into that. Oh, go ahead, Angela.
Thanks for that question. I'll confirm the information about that, and we can have a more fulsome discussion about the farmers market at the May meeting.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Judy. Are there any questions for Angela? Or for myself? Heidi?
I would maybe reach out to the community market that's going to be taking place on Sundays down at the wharf. I don't know, they're moving in from the drive-in, and it might be of interest to people who are down there on a weekend, different traffic, right? And especially if the boards are in place. And so I don't know if that would be something that the Heritage Committee wants to look into, but it seems like a pretty good fit because some of the things that you're working on are down there now, and so you would be able to point people in the right direction quite easily, probably more easily than Gull Lake, because they're right there. Anyway.
Thank you. I'm not sure. Do you want to push it again?
I guess I'm not sure where, how we could make that contact, if that's something that we could ask staff to sort of get a feel for that group and see if we can provide a contact.
I can look into that for the next meeting and just see what the options are.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you for the great idea, Heidi. Love that. Are there any questions or comments about any of the working group reports? Okay, there are no other reports. There's no unfinished business. We're going to move into our new business. So Angela's going to speak about the strategy for the 2026 Built Heritage Awards.
Thank you. If I could trouble Jonathan to just put together a very basic flow chart. And again, just this came out of the meeting with the town's communication and marketing division. And we thought it was appropriate to suggest a new approach for the town's Built Heritage Award program. And in that it would be more of a public process by promoting the program and the form that's on the website where Built Heritage Award nominations can be made, rather than having the working group determine potential properties. So I'll just go through what we sort of envisioned that's on the screen, and then happy to take questions and feedback as well, if this is something that you're interested in. So May 1st would be launching the promotion of the Built Heritage Awards. So that would include things like a press release, social media posts, and posters. And town staff will look after creating this. And then MHC members should distribute the posters to places such as the library, the Opera House, Senior Center, the Y, grocery stores, etc. So then the idea would be that nominations will be made through the nomination form that's on the town's website and must be submitted through the website by Thursday, May the 28th. Then the next day, on the 29th, all the nominations will be sent to the Heritage Recognition Working Group, the group that's in charge of the Built Heritage Awards. And with the request that that working group review the nominations and bring recommendations forward to the June 9th MHC meeting, which is the last scheduled meeting. And I would just point out, if the media campaign is successful, there may have to be decisions made about limiting the number of awards. We do have some ones that can be reused, but just always thinking about budget, maybe a different decision to make about limiting the properties that get a Built Heritage Award. And then the Heritage Recognition Working Group would work with myself to prepare the letters and distribute the awards, similar to last year, where the letters would be written and delivered asking if people want to participate in the program. So that's the idea for this year, just looking for your feedback, thoughts, questions.
How many signs do we still have?
I believe there are 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions for Angela? Judy?
I'm wondering if there's some way of including in talking to people or advertising this process, if there's some way of also encouraging people to maybe open up their properties for doors open, so that, you know, for instance, if somebody's nominating a home that has been really beautifully restored or whatever, that we somehow at the same time encourage the homeowner to possibly open the doors for that day and let people take a look at what they've done. Maybe even talk about who helped them to do it in terms of builders and so on.
I wonder if that could be something that we add to the bottom of our form online. It wouldn't be something that I would think, if we put too much into one
No,
media
that's right.
post, it would be
Yeah.
a little confusing. But maybe that could be something that we look at for the bottom of the online form. Heidi, go ahead.
I wonder, we're always looking at ways how to incorporate the seasonal population of Gravenhurst, and I wonder if it might be worth sending out a mass or covering it through one of the newsletters to the lake associations, because when we talk about heritage, we rarely talk, I shouldn't say we rarely, but most of the buildings we talk about are literally in town, but we know some of these cottages and some of these like these places where people's family has been for generations. So, and I think we're always looking to tie the seasonal and the permanent residents together, and I see heritage as a nice way to do that. So I wonder if there's a way we can sort of bridge those communities and get them involved in this.
It's great. I wonder if we can put our hats together and come up with some places that we could put forward when we do the media campaign. So if anyone has any, maybe we can send Angela an email with our ideas. Paul?
Send them out with tax bills. I mean, it's late for this year, but
Angela, when do yeah? Go ahead, Angela.
So the only concern about sending something with the tax bill, quite frankly, is the cost, just of that number of documents that would need to be printed. I think that, again, we're working closely with marketing and communications, and they're going to be managing all of the sort of heritage campaigns. So I think there's the monthly newsletter that the mayor does, and so we can talk to them about incorporating these items, maybe all of them or different ones each month, and approach it that way. I think that's a really good option.
I think I saw Judy's name there. Judy, go ahead.
I was just thinking about Heidi's newsletter that she sends out quarterly, I think. Is it a quarterly? Is it monthly? Monthly. And that is another thing that you could incorporate into what you're talking about as well. inviting people to sort of, it's funny, I guess when I drive down the main street and I see that, we have some difficulties on our main business area, I do think about heritage and do think about making the area, the town itself, attractive in terms of a heritage sort of perspective. People are interested in looking at heritage, and people are interested in hearing about the history of buildings and so on. And so if in fact we could give a little boost to our downtown by, starting to, well, some of the interpretive panels and plaques will certainly go on some of the buildings downtown eventually, given sign bylaw. If we could just promote the downtown and its heritage and its history in as many ways as possible, might be a good thing for us.
I think if we can come up with a list to share with Angela, that's great.
Yeah.
And if you can think of some ways that we can distribute this and have it out for the media campaign, we can give that to them and give them a good jump-off point. That's excellent. Thank you. Are there any more questions for Angela about the Built Heritage Awards strategy? Okay, wonderful. I know that Angela is going to talk about the Ontario Heritage Conference coming up.
I am. Sorry, just before we move on to that, I just want to go back to a point that sort of threads through all of these things that have been talked about, and that is the opportunity for filming. The Economic Development Division is regularly contacted by production companies asking about historical buildings for filming opportunities. And so they are putting an inventory of buildings together. So I think that that's something that can also be included in the promotion brochure, and as well as the doors open opportunities. So I just wanted to make that point because it's something that's come up about that heritage buildings potentially being used for filming opportunities. So
That's wonderful to get that out there and see if anyone's interested in that. Judy, you have a question for Angela?
I just wondered, Angela, if we could mention to the group of people who are working with, possible film companies and so on, if they wanted to get in touch with me at the archives, there are a number of places that I might be able to suggest, not only within the actual town center, but in Ryde, in, Morrison Township, and so on. Because there are some properties out there that I think a film company would just die to get their hands on if they only knew they were there.
that's great, thank you. I will definitely pass that on.
Okay.
Thank you, Judy. That's great. And people can fill out that form on our website too and put towards their heritage buildings or ask. Remember, you can message in and send those emails and ask questions about your property as well. And maybe you're interested in having your place as a film location. So fill that out online. That would be wonderful. All right, Angela, you can go ahead and talk about the Heritage Conference.
Thank you. So I did provide emails that I received last week with the information and details about this year's Ontario Heritage Conference. It's being held in Hamilton from Thursday, June the 18th to Saturday, June 20th. The theme is Forged in Steel, Steeped in History. Hopefully you had an opportunity to see that email. I would just point out that in order to get the early bird conference registration rate, I would suggest that a decision about that needs to be made today. So I'm just going to go through some of the costs. The registration fee with all the taxes and everything is $339 before April 30th. The accommodation, there isn't a it's not like a conference center, so they've just provided on the website a variety of hotels that are within walking distance. I looked very quickly. The average price appears to be approximately $500 for the 2 nights. There are no blocks reserved. I did notice that at least one of the hotels is already almost sold out. It appears that all the meals would be included in the conference, from what I could tell. And so, just quickly, that's, you can assume close to $850 for one person. And I would point out, which has been budgeted for, I would point out that as with all training and conference opportunities that the town pays for, there is an expectation that any attendee reports back to the committee with their learnings, especially with, of course, anything that can be beneficial to Gravenhurst. So would just be looking for direction on that today, because we would want to take advantage of that early bird rate.
Thank you, Angela. Are there any questions for Angela? Okay, let's have an open discussion about that. Is there anyone who's interested in attending? Is this something that we need to attend every year?
No.
No, okay,
It's optional.
optional. Okay, I know we had talked about possibly using that money for more signage and more heritage items and actions. I think we had discussed that. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Heidi, that's wonderful, thank you.
I have one. Are you going to go, Angela? I mean, you don't have to say here, but I just wondered if a staff member would want to go, just to bring some ideas back.
Thanks for the question. So basically, I have budget for one sort of conference per year, so kind of look ahead to all the different conference opportunities. And so this year, it wouldn't be the opportunity that I would choose. Thanks.
When is the early bird rate done?
April 30th.
April 30th, okay. Just thinking, if anyone wants to think about it and look at their calendar. Do we know who any of the keynotes are?
Yeah, so if you wanted to look into it more, again, I did send that email, I think I sent 2 emails last week, but if it's just on Community Heritage Ontario Conference and is the website, and I was organized and had it pulled up, and general info, sorry. So the other option is to attend one day. That's also an option that's available. There is, it's not listing.
I'm just wondering, with the one-day option, we would have more money for more than 2 to attend, correct? If we just went for one day?
Yeah, so if you just wanted to go for one day without hotels, then I just want to check the fees for that. And I'm sorry that I didn't have that available.
No worries.
It was so organized.
That's okay. For those at home, we're talking about the Ontario Heritage Conference, and it happens every year. This year it's in Hamilton. And we hosted last year, right?
2024.
2024, yeah.
Nobody can talk this.
Angela's going to do some math.
I know.
I put you on the spot with that question, I'm sorry. I'm just thinking if more of us can attend on for one day and it's less expensive. And I understand the three-day commitment, right? It can be a lot. Would anyone be interested in attending a one-day event and carpooling? Judy, yes, you would. Do you want to put this in an email when we look it up?
So the reason I don't know is because it's not listed, but I can find out. So I guess the challenge would be if you want to dedicate money to going, a resolution would need to be passed. I'm not sure if there is on the one day, there may not be an early bird rate, so it may be a non-issue. If people wanted to attend for just one day, it may be a flat rate. So, but I wouldn't be able to find that out in time for today's meeting.
Okay, should we put a motion forward that if 2 people come forward for the full, that's covered?
Looking at Jonathan.
And then we could do a subsequent motion that if they don't, how would that work?
You want to create a motion now, but then change it in the future.
I'm trying to be flexible.
I think it would have an upset.
Mm.
I thought.
Great. So now we've sorted that. An email will go out to members, and if you are interested in the 1 day or the 3 days, you can contact Angela, and we will move forward with that. Are there any other questions about the Ontario Heritage Conference for Angela at this time? Wonderful. We do not have any correspondence. And I guess I'm going to follow the agenda. Here we go. So I need a motion to adjourn. Judy. A seconder. Paul. All in favor? Motion carried. Our next meeting date is Tuesday, May 19th at 4:30 here in the council chambers. You can join us here or online.